Hello everybody and welcome back to the cavern. xBundok here, and today we're going to be talking about, if somebody's been sitting down and playing D&D with their buddies for a while and they're like, man, I really think I want to start getting into painting. I think, we need to get some decent minis here, don't have a D20 stand in for a villain. Let's get something on the table that makes it more dynamic and more interesting, and I think I might really like this. I think this might be a good idea. Don't do it. Your family will cry out for you, and their cries will fall on deaf ears as the little gray hordes weep and beg. One more layer, one more coat, one more edge highlight, and that army will grow and grow in numbers as every little sale gets you to get one more piece, one more figure that'll be perfect for your game. It's just a never-ending pit, and it will never, ever... Absolutely, it'd be great to have you guys in the hobby. It's, wonderful, it's rewarding, it's enjoyable, it's a great way to spend your time and build up some of your creative talents. So in this video, we're going to go over some of the absolute basics. So getting a miniature to paint, what kind of paints you should get, brushes, maybe a little bit about tutorials. Nothing ridiculously in-depth, just absolute basic beginner. So here we go. Now, as for the figures you're painting, most of you will probably already have an idea of what you want to paint, what would have gotten you into this in the first place, okay? I always recommend for your very first one, start with something that already has a set color coding or something that's very easy. So this guy here, it's a squire, he's going to have, maybe 3 basic colors, something that you're learning how to put paint on the figure, you're learning how it holds the paint, how different lights or edging will reflect onto what the guy's going to look like. And then you can work up to something, get some sort of beasties, something you can be a little bit more creative with. But it's not too bad, and it's also larger scale. So you don't have to worry too much about severely fine detailing unless that would be something you would want to do. From there, you can move up and do things like, like the blood effects on the werewolf here, or get into a lot more dry brushing or texture. You have to remember, I don't start all at once. Start with the basics and build your way up and get miniatures that are going to help you do that. Terrain. Terrain is a godsend for learning different techniques. This log. We have a running joke about logs on ours. Just don't worry about it. Just appreciate the log. Or furniture, things like that. Things that are your side pieces. Things that aren't going to be something that is a main focus of someone. And then you can go up, get your larger 3D prints and things like that. This is my very first 100 mil figure, and I'm very excited to paint him. But again, you're spending a lot of money on something you're not sure you're actually going to want to invest in. And if you have that kind of disposable income, then, go for it. That's fine. Not a lot of people do. Now, the difference you're going to have here is, even though I would consider trying this kind of piece later on, is it's going to be a lot easier to get coating details. Because here, see the ratio of the brush to surface area of this figure, right? If you go back, let's take that little squire that I was showing you at first. Your brush to figure ratio, his face is maybe 2 brush lengths long. So you're going to have to focus and learn on how to get that detailing on a smaller figure, which, if you want to do this and it's a hobby you want to get into, you're going to have to learn anyway. Now, about paint, I think paint is one of those things that most people have the most difficulty figuring out what they're supposed to get first. My philosophy when it comes to paint is the best paint is the paint that's on sale. Now, I have, stuff from a lot of the main branch, War Painter, Citadel, the MSP, the Pro Acryl. So all I can say is it's up to you to figure out what you like best, what you like how it sits on the figure. Now, for me, I got this collection of MSP when I was at a convention years ago. They were on sale, so I just stockpiled pretty much every color. I've got the Citadels up there, and I started getting those to supplement once the MSPs are starting to run low. And to see if I like Citadel over another, or if I like Army Painter over another. But for me, those have been the ones I've been leaning on. Army Painter has their speed paint brands that some folks get into. All of this is, you're going to have to learn what works for you and what you like. So that's why I say, get the paint that's on sale. When it comes to washes, you don't really need a wash to start out. You can absolutely buy some. There are loads of tutorials out there where you can learn how to use one of your main layer colors as a wash. Get a little bit of the mixing agent or water, and just work them all together to make a wash that you would prefer. And you can even make it much more custom since you have the specific range of colors that you're using versus just one or two washes. Again, I don't think the washes are an absolute necessity for when you're first starting, but again, you're going to want to learn how to use them, right? Just because that's what you're going to need for your figures. Get some dynamic layering. Now, brushes. I don't have a whole set of the specific brushes from like Army Painter or Games Workshop. I have one or two that I had gotten over time. Now, you see my brushes here are stored vertically. Only do that if they're dry. If they're still wet, make sure they're horizontal. Otherwise, the water is going to wick back into the wood and they're going to wear a lot faster. And you don't want to do that. Natural hair versus synthetic, get what you like. You're going to need to practice a little bit. When you start out, I would say get one of each, both in the bullet tip, just so you can see. I will say the natural hairs do need a lot more care, cleaning, reshaping of the point. Now, for me, since I don't use the specific brands, I have this 0 and 1 brush or brushes that I got from my local craft store. They frequently have a buy 2 get 3 free sale, so you can go and get 5 of the same brush if you really want to, if you think you're going to be, trudging through them. I have another set here that I had gotten off of Amazon. It was a super cheap set, but they've been holding up pretty well. They're a bit longer. I don't really like how they hold paint too much, but they're great for washes, or I can absolutely destroy them and use them for dry brushing needs, which never use a brand new brush for dry brushing unless it's, you'll see a lot of tutorials that recommend doing the makeup brush technique, and it works well. But I have enough older brushes that I've got all beat up that I can use too. So when you're looking, just remember, you don't need to only get things that are sold for the hobby. Look outside of the box, and it's not even that much outside the box, it's just another paintbrush. Now, for getting tips and tricks, just like I'm giving you here today, tutorials. Nothing that we say, if you look, there's a whole bunch of painting tutorials on YouTube, okay? And you can learn a whole bunch from them. But remember that nothing that we say is gospel. You don't absolutely have to do what is in all of these tutorials. Now, obviously, the method for painting, the basic steps, like you're not gonna do your edge highlighting before you do a base coat, right? But you can always change things up to essentially do what you want to do, and that's what my main thing here is for beginners. You just have to paint, okay? You can watch and learn on video as much as you want, and that helps when it comes to not doing too much paint, learning how to properly load a brush, learning how would light sit on a model, learning some color theory. But all in all, when it comes to the actual process of it, you just have to paint and you have to practice, and you look at progress, not perfection. If you keep trying to go for perfection in this hobby, you will burn yourself out so quickly. So that's all I would like to harp on for anybody looking to get into it, is don't wear yourself out. Get a couple of different miniatures, see what you like to paint, what you think is useful for your campaign and what you enjoy painting, and go from there and build up, and you'll watch yourself progress over time. So don't wear yourself out and enjoy the process. As always, thank you all again for watching. Like and comment, give me some tips. What would you recommend for somebody that's first starting out in this hobby that would be really useful? If you'd like to come back for more videos, just subscribe. And as always, take care.